Let's talk about the top questions you'd want to ask yourself when evaluating any investment or investment opportunity. Could be a stock or stock portfolio, real estate, a business, doesn't matter what it is. But here's a few things to think about before putting your hard-earned money to work. Number one, what are the performance or return expectations? What kind of returns are you expecting to make percentage-wise, and within what time frame? When you're looking at this, make sure you're also considering the effects of taxes and how the investment is taxed. You'd also want to consider the amount of time and energy, if any, that would be required of you as a part of an investment, let's say in a business. Remember, time is money, so you'd have to put a monetary value on the expected amount of time that you'd be putting in order to figure out a percentage return on your overall investment. Number two, what are the volatility expectations? Investments don't go straight up year after year, every single year. At some point in the journey, the value will decline. The S&P 500 index, for example, has a correction, which is a decline of 10% or more about every 2 years on average, and has a bear market, which is a decline of 20% or more about every 5 or 6 years. So these are things that happen and that we will tell clients to expect with stock market portfolios. So if we're talking about an investment that can be marked to market, what kinds of fluctuations should you expect? That's something that you want to know in advance and make sure you're comfortable with so that you don't overreact when they happen. Number three, liquidity. How liquid is the investment? Pretty self-explanatory. A stock that's listed on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, for example, can be sold anytime during market business hours. But a thinly traded stock that trades on the over-the-counter or OTC market usually can't be sold that easily without a significant change in price. We all know real estate is not very liquid, especially depending on the market, and of course has transaction costs to consider. So you just want to know and understand how liquid an investment is before getting into it, and make sure that it aligns with your needs and your time frame. Which brings me to number four. What's the time frame needed to realize those expected returns or being able to liquidate the investment? You want to have a realistic understanding of that as well. Number five, what's your criteria for selling or liquidating? Is it after achieving a certain return? Is it after a certain amount of time? Would you sell if the investment declined by a certain amount after a certain period of time? Or is the plan just to buy and hold it forever? Again, that you want to have an idea of that in mind of what your strategy is going to be. And then lastly, how would a worst case scenario with this investment affect your overall financial situation? Now, obviously, that's first going to depend on how much of an investment you're making. But when you're thinking about the volatility expectations and how much you could potentially lose, and the liquidity or lack thereof, you want to have an understanding of the impact of a worst case scenario. And so all of that just helps to better decide if the investment and the potential return is worth the risk, right? That's what this all boils down to. Is the juice worth the squeeze? And can I sleep at night knowing where I'm investing my money and knowing that it aligns with my goals, my risk tolerance, and my time frame? So I hope this was helpful. See you on the next one.